Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matt Forts here with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm in a new place. Actually, just a new office down the hall from where I would shoot my videos before, though it is still a work in progress. So please forgive me while there's not much dust, but pardon our dust, as they say. So let's get into this. Uh, you may or may not know this, but I'm just gonna explain it as if you didn't know. Zillow Offers, which was a service wing of Zillow, the website, was designed to purchase homes from people, turn around, do some modest updates, and sell it. It's a flipping business, very similar to Open Door and some of the other ones out there, um, trying to compete against Open Door. And I don't know exactly how long they've been in this. I want to say it's been at least a couple years that they were like hard into the we're gonna buy your home business, and especially in like the last year. Well, what happened is Zillow decided that they are shutting that down. And those of us here that are in the industry, or at least follow the market as closely as I do, saw this writing on the wall. Mostly because, especially for like the last 6 months, probably even more so, but especially in the last 6 months, Zillow had been so aggressive to try to capture market share in that space of, we'll just call it the flipping business. Um, you know, to to be number one in that space, that they were paying outlandish amounts for properties. I mean, to the tune of like $25,000 to $50,000 over market, not just in what they paid the seller, but including their selling expenses, any fix-up costs, and anything like that. I would bet lunch through a drive-through window that they are probably somewhere in the average of $30,000 to $50,000 per property they purchased. They lost. Again, I don't have the numbers. I don't even think they're going to publish that kind of numbers. But I just know from just my anecdotal experience looking at particular homes, and even consulting a client who ended up selling to Zillow several months ago. And in that particular example, market at that very moment for his house was, say, like $525,000. Zillow offered him $542,000. And then they still had to, probably put some carpet and some paint, nothing major. And they still had their own selling expenses. So at the end of the day, the market didn't go up that much. And to say that they're speculating that it's going to go up so substantially that they can absorb that kind of cost is preposterous. So they paid almost $20,000 over market. We'll just say $15,000 over market for the property, and invested another, cost and improvements, another $15,000. So $30,000 over market. And I don't have the numbers on what that property sold for, though I would argue that in the 30 days or so, or however long it takes them to turn around, the market did not go up that high. So they could have lost upwards of $30,000. Maybe they recouped some of it and only lost 25. But you can see what I'm starting to paint here is they were buying properties at inflated costs to own the market. And I'm sure either their board of directors or their management finally said, hey, enough's enough. We are throwing money out the door here, and it's not getting us anywhere. This is not sustainable. Now, what does this mean to you? What does this mean about the market? It doesn't mean that the market's like going bad. It's, you had a speculator with a lot of money behind them trying to own a market and was overpaying. Again, they were overpaying. Let's just call it what it is. Because if you're buying properties 10, 15, sometimes $20,000 over what the current market value is, You're not adding $25,000 value to that. They weren't doing like fix and flip, like, hey, we're buying this complete rundown dump, putting $20,000 into it and selling it for 100,000 more. No, they were buying pretty much turnkey homes that, and I've been in many of these, and the extent to which they would do, at least what I would observe that they had done to those properties, was more often than not paint, carpet. We're not even talking about appliances. I mean, maybe in some cases, though I would say greater than 90% of the homes that were owned by Zillow that I went through on with clients and whatever else, paint and carpet. Paint and carpet. And again, let's just spitball that. $5,000 to $10,000 in expenses, plus their selling expenses. They're not, I mean, you're not going to get a $50,000 bump for fresh paint and run-of-the-mill carpet. So that's not a recipe for success. And I'm reliving some memories, because I came from the .com era, Freudian slip. And if you remember, if you're old enough to remember, it's not that long ago, but if you're old enough to remember that, around the 99 to 2001 time frame, just billions and billions of dollars going into the stock market, investing in these .com tech companies that all promised stuff. It was great. It was, from a technological standpoint, it was a fun time. So there was so much money coming into this, and wild promises being made of like, hey, we're gonna change the world, and we just need 500 million more to do it, or whatever it may be. And one of my favorite things that we used to joke about, just us plebes working in the technology end of it, watching all of this, was, hey, we're losing money on every transaction, but darn it, we're going to make it up in volume. Think about that one for a second. Yeah. Losing proposition. Therefore, that's what we saw in like the 2001 timeframe, when all of these .com companies, or a lot of them, went, that bubble burst. And now, this is not a industry-wide, market-wide bubble here. Don't confuse me. It's one speculator, a tech company speculator that had billions of Wall Street money behind it, and cavalier management that said, I don't care if we lose money on these deals, just go buy them. And that was actually exactly what was communicated to my friend who sold his home to Zillow a few months ago. Imagine that. That and I'm not judging the person who he was talking to, probably a call center person, definitely not, high level manager here. This call center person, this had been communicated throughout the company to pretty much, and I don't want to say he's the lowest, again, not judging the person, but let's just say organizationally, one of the lowest characters in that company was communicating to the potential client that we don't care if we make money. So that's what you had with Zillow. Now, what does that mean to us? What does that mean to the market? What does that mean just overall? Well, I think from a buyer standpoint, I think this is a good thing, because you're not going to be competing in essence with seller, in a marketplace where sellers have, in many cases, an option to sell easy for $30,000 more than the value. And therefore waiting 6 months or 3 months or 2 months for that property to come back down in value, because that's what happened. You buy a house for $550,000, you turn around and sell it for $535,000 because that's what was happening. Again, anecdotal evidence, and I've seen plenty of examples to know that has been the case. So as a buyer, that takes some price pressure off. Now, as a seller, yeah, of course, if you had an option, just like with my friend and my client, that I told him, I said, hey, you know what? Given what we could sell your house for today on the open market and selling to Zillow, I said, my fiduciary duty to you is you got to take that deal. Now, that option being gone, because Open Door, one of the other big players, if you're not familiar with them, they're not doing that. They're taking it from a more sound standpoint, just like many other flippers. Because if you're in the business if you're in this type of business to invest in property and turn around and make a profit, you can't buy it for $50,000 more or $20,000 more than what it's worth. The market's not going to go up that high. And even though it did for a little bit in the spring, any sane person knows that that is not how the market will sustain itself. So you've got to be more prudent as an investor to say, hey, if I can fix this house up and it's worth $500,000 and it's going to cost me $50,000 in fix up and expenses, and I still need to make a profit to put money in my bank and feed my family, well, that means I need to be buying that at about 75 to 100 below what that aftermarket or the after repair value number is. So that house that sells for 550, I'm gonna have to buy that for 450 if I'm gonna try to make a profit. Again, these are just rough numbers. So yeah, from a get it sold easy and cash in big, as a seller, yeah, that's not necessarily going to be as prevalent. Who knows? Maybe Open Door will be more aggressive. I don't know. I don't think so. It's not sound economics. So, but you as a seller, the prices aren't going down. Now, I don't know what 6 months from now is going to look like. I don't know what a year from now is going to look like. If I did, I would, just imagine that. But I don't. I don't know what's going to happen. Though, let's look at today. Today's world is still a very strong seller's market with a pool of buyers that are still motivated with great interest rates available to be able to get you still top dollar. And again, how long is this going to last? I don't know. I wish. And that's for a whole other video. And frankly, I don't want to get into that topic because then we start talking about economic policies. We start talking about politics. We start talking about a lot of things that, look here, my personal opinions in that matter and your personal opinions may not jive. And again, I'm not here. I'm not on Fox News or CNN, talking about pontificating about those things. I'm here helping you make the best decisions possible. And so today, this is okay. Again, you know what? If you were thinking about selling off and taking the easy route to Zillow and hoping to get $10,000 more than what you could get by going the traditional open market selling to an actual buyer that's going to either live in it or rent it out or whatever it may be, yeah, it's that ship sailed. But I think it's good for the overall health of our market to have those artificial inflators out of the picture. Again, if you have somebody with a lot of money and carelessly spending, yes, I will put a little judgment on that because they are carelessly spending to try to own the marketplace, artificially driving up prices. The funny thing about that is, again, going back to, they were pushing the prices, which, hey, this household, like let's talk as an appraiser, this house sold for $575,000, setting new comps. Except they turned around and sold that same property for $560,000. A month later, the market said, 575 is not, no, it definitely, so I let's score a victory for the marketplace. The marketplace said, hey, you know what? We're not gonna let the prices go that crazy. And this is not a dig on Zillow. They made a bet. Their management made a bet, and unfortunately, as those of us that lived through the .bomb.com era, their speculation sometimes they end, and sometimes they end with, you know, disastrous financial consequences. And so, hey, that's good for you. It's good for you, the buyer. It's good for you, the seller. Because you're going to have to turn around, you're going to sell, and you're going to have to buy another property, most likely. So you're not going to be, you're not going to be in the purchasing environment of somewhat artificially inflated. So, woo, long story short, and I'll have to make sure to put a little disclaimer on this that it is a bit of a long one, though it's an interesting one. And I'm interested in what your thoughts are, your comments about what's happening here. Did I miss something? Is my analysis wrong? I mean, what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear. Just feel free to comment below, or just reply on the email. I would love to hear what you have to say. And also, if you're ready to sell your house or jump into the market to buy a house, you know where I am. Love to help you out. All my information is down below and in the email that you're receiving this on. I certainly hope you're having a wonderful day. Happy November. Just a couple months left of this year. Let's make the most of it as we can. And I certainly look forward to speaking with you soon and helping you out when you're ready. Thank you very much. Have a great day.